Hello friends, welcome to the 86th session of Hybris tutorial. Guys, this is the second video on the ASM, and in this video we are going to cover how we can create a new account via ASM, right? So in which scenario we need to create a new account via ASM, what is the requirement to create a new account via ASM, then, guys, we will be covering the technical flow of all the APIs which are involved in creating a new account via ASM. I will be showing you all the JS files involved and all the Java files involved in creating a new account via the ASM. Right then, guys, I will be covering the technical flow of all the APIs involved in ASM module. Like I will be showing you once I will be logging in, right? Like I log in into the ASM using the credential username is AS agent and the password is 123456. Once I click on sign in, which API basically gets called in the backend, I will show you the APIs or end-to-end flow of all the modules, right? So this video is going to be very important if you are going to work on the ASM module in your project work. So firstly, we will cover how we can create a new account and in which scenario we need to create a new account via the ASM. So guys, there are two ways to create a new account on the storefront. One way is customer can also create a new account on the website. For example, if I just open the B2C storefront, you can see this is how it is looking, right? And here as a customer can also create a new account like this. He has to click on this sign in slash register button. Once he clicks on this link, then basically a form for the sign in and another form for the registration gets opened, and from there also customer can either do the sign in via his existing credentials, or customer can basically create a new account. For example, this is the sign in form. Right here, just if you already are a customer, you just have to enter your email address and the password, and if you just have to click on the login button. But if you don't have any credentials, you don't have any account, you have to do the registration. So this is the first way. So for example, I do the registration. I will just do the registration very quickly. Test customer one. Okay, and I will just put the same as the last name and then same as the email address, right? And then I will just use a very simple password. Okay, so I have used a very simple password, and then I will just check these two boolean boxes and I will click on register, right? So this is the guys one way through which we can create an account on the website. But just guys, just think that if the customer doesn't have enough knowledge to create an account on the website, he needs some help in creating an account, right? Then what he will do, he will just call the customer service and he will just say that I don't have any account. So firstly I want to get my account created, and then I want to place a order via my account only. And in placing the order as well, for example in adding a item to the customer cart, in doing that as well he needs the customer service agent help, right? So in that scenario, basically what ASM agent has to do, firstly ASM agent has to create an account for the customer, right? And then he has to basically add the items or place the order via that account only. But doing the creation during the creation of the account, customer service also needs to make sure that he doesn't have the access to the customer credentials, he doesn't have access to the customer password, right? That is also a must scenario. So this is where customer account creation via ASM module comes into the picture. I will show you a very brief demo how you can create a new account right via the ASM. So if I go to the ASM, So you can see I have done the B2C accelerator setup. That's why I'm able to open open the website. And I have already done the ASM setup, which I showed you in the chapter number 85. If you have not watched that video, you can watch that video, and you can also do the ASM setup in your system. But since I have already done, that's why I am able to see this ASM module right over here. So what I will do, I have just refreshed this and I will just log in into it. Please remember, this is the credential of the AS agent, or it means these are the credentials of the employee, not the customer, right? So firstly, I am logging into this ASM module, and who logs in? Basically, employee or customer service agent basically logs into the ASM module. So I'm just logging with my credential, right? Username is AS agent and password is 123456, and I just click on the sign in button, right? So you can see, as soon as I clicked on the sign in button, now I am logged in, right? Here I have the flexibility to create the or I have the flexibility to search a customer. You can see, if I write anything, it gives me the list of customers, right? It gives me the list of customers. Similarly, I can search by the cart ID as well. But I don't see any option in this ASM module to create a new customer, right? I don't have any option over here. If I do this via this option, then I have to basically use the customer password as well. So this is not the right option to create a new customer via the ASM module. So how you can create a new customer via the ASM module? For example, let's say my customer is Ritesh, right? And Ritesh account is not here, right? So as soon as I typed over here, system checked in the backend whether the account exists or not. If it sees the account doesn't exist, it basically shows one button, create new account, right? But still you can see this button is not enabled, right? So how you can enable this button? So this button will be enabled if enter the details in the requested format, and where exactly those checks are written, I will show you those JS JavaScript files and the Java classes as well. I will show you those technical things as well, right? But you can see I just have written the word Ritesh, and I just have to enter the email address, right? The corresponding to which I need to create a new account. So I'm just writing over here Ritesh at the rate gmail.com. So as soon as I write these details, you will see that this button will basically get enabled, right? So you can see it's still not enabled, right? Why it is not enabled? Because it expects this name to be first name and last name. I have only written here as a first name. That's why this button is not enabled. So I have to write over here like Ritesh Singh, right? As soon as I write the last name as well, you can see this button is now enabled, right? So now I just have to click on this create new account button, and in this way a new account gets created. So you can see I just click on the create new account, and as soon as I click on the new account, you can see now the new customer Ritesh has been created. And there is one more thing, the email address which you mentioned there, on that email address an email has also been sent to that user, so that he can reset the password of that account, right? And he can use that account. Other ways, if he doesn't receive the email, what he can do, he can also do the same thing. He just can basically click on the forget password, and there also he can just use his email, and he can also do the reset password from this form as well, right? But just see, in this way, when the ASM agent created this account Ritesh Singh, right? Now still the ASM agent doesn't have any visibility on the customer password. He just has created the account, right? And now using this account he can do anything. He can even place the, you can say, place the order on behalf of customer, right? And this is how you can create a new account. Just here the thing which needs to be noted is you have to use the proper proper format of the customer. Like you have to use the first name, last name, and then comma separated, and then there should be a space as well. If I don't, you can see, if I don't use the space, you can see still this button will not be enabled, still this button is not enabled. I have to put a space over here, then only this button will be enabled. So I hope it is clear to you. Right, so now the next thing is, guys, once you know how you can create a new account via the ASM module, next thing is which all are the technical code files involved in this functionality that I am going to explain you now. So if I inspect the browser, so you can see I'm inspecting the browser, right? So the major files which are involved in this functionality is, one is the JS file, right? And second one is the controller file, right? So if I show you, this is the major JS file in which all the major functions are written, right? And this is the major function, validate new account. And from this account, from this function only, these all functionalities are written, like toggle activation state. What this function does, so this toggle activation state basically enables this button, right? Enables this create new customer account. That only basically enables this button, right? So you can see, if I show you over here, right, toggle activation state, so you can see, so here this function is basically defined, right? So this is the function where you can see it is defined. If it gets the flag value as activate true, it basically then remove this class from the button, and that's why that button gets enabled, right? But this is the major class, AssistedServiceStorefront.js, which gets called, right? And then this is the controller, assisted service component controller. Right here all the major functions are written, right? So let's say, let's enable the debug. So I have enabled the debug, right? So what I will do, firstly I will show you, let's say I do the sign out. So as soon as I clicked on the sign out button, you can see it has called the logout ASM, right? Logout assisted service agent, it has called this API. You can see flow has come into it, right? And if I go forward, I just wanted to show you that this is the basically API which is basically involved in the logout functionality, right? So you can see now the user has been you can say logged out. I will show the JS file as well, right? So you can see this is the JS which is getting called in the backend. I have just added a debug point, that's why it's stuck over here. But I will just go further, and you can see now it is gone, right? So if I log in, right, if I log in using the credential 1 2 3 4 5 and 6, if I click on sign in, right, if I click on sign in, guys, you will see that in the backend there is a API which is getting called, and the API name is login API, right? So in the login, it basically does the multiple checks. You can go through those all checks, but this is the API which is written in AssistedServiceComponentController.java, right? Right, and in this API basically all the functionality related to login is written, right? So I hope it is clear to you how it is done here. In the end, I am setting the session timeout, and because of this only, you can see here the timer is basically running, right? Now if I do the, now I will enable the inspect, because I want to show you how you can create a new customer. Once you create a new customer, which all functionality or which all APIs are basically called. So what I will do, I will just write over here test Shyam. I will just write test Shyam, right? And then I will just write over here Shyam at Gmail. And now I will just enable the inspect. right? And then I'm just pressing over here Control O. You can also do the same thing. And then I'm just opening this assisted service storefront.js. I have added the debug point at major lines. You can also add. What you have to do, you just have to click here like this, right? Then the debug will get enabled or disabled for that particular line, right? Now as soon as, guys, I write something, you can see as soon as I clicked over here, this validate new account, this gets called, and it validates whether all the fields are getting validated or not. Firstly, what it will do, it will just fetch this create new account button, right? And then what it will check, it will just check which all details I have added, right? Customer values, what I have added. So here you can see I have added test Shyam, right? Shyam at gmail.com. This is what I have added, right? The dot co, it is not a proper format, right? So let's see how it goes now. Then it goes, okay, name it input is this, then customer value length is greater than one or not, right? It is still not greater than one. That's why it is calling this method toggle activation state, and it's passing the value as false. It means this button will not be enabled, right? So this button will not be enabled, you can see. That's why it will go over here toggle activation state, value is activate, value is false. That's why if its value is false, it will go in else state, and the button will remain disabled, right? That's why the button will remain, you can see, disabled, right? So I hope it is clear to you how it is working. But guys, as soon as I put a space over here, as soon as I put a space over here, you will see now how it goes. As soon as I put a space, it will now take the customer values as 2, length as 2. Now it will go inside this, right? So I hope now you understand why it is required to put a space over here, right? So now then what I will do, I will go to the next. It is firstly validating the name, so whether the name is valid or not. So it says name is not valid, validate name value is false. You can check the logic written inside it, why it is not valid, right? So if it is not valid, again it's going into the else, and here it is passing the false. That's why button will remain invalid, right? So I hope it is clear to you, right, how it is doing. Now what I will do, I will just put the name as Singh as well, right? Singh as well. I will put the first name and last name both, right? And now you can see how it works. So I will just put something like this, right? Now you can see it is calling this method, right? And now you will see that this button is also enabled, right? So I hope now you understand which API is basically getting called in the backend. And once you click on create new account, right, once you click over here, request basically goes to the controller, request goes to the controller, and this is the API create account API which gets called, right? So just see what all logic is written over here, but basically this is the API which gets called in the backend. So I hope, guys, this is clear to you, right, how it is working. So this is how it is working. Similarly, guys, if you open any existing customer, then this API will get called. Let's see if we can, open any, you can say, existing customer. I will just close it, right? And I will just end this session, right? I will just end this as well, right? And we will basically, you can see, search for a existing customer, right? So as soon as, guys, I will disable it, because then it will, like if I show you over here, if I write here Amandeep, right? So if I just select this and start session, then you will see that it is basically calling this personify customer API, emulate customer, and then it is basically fetching all the details related to this customer. But I hope you understand which API is basically getting called from the backend when you search for a particular customer, and right, this is how it is working. So guys, this is all about the major APIs which are getting called in the ASM module. I have shown you the technical flow, right? And I have shown you the functional flow both for the ASM module, right? So I hope this video is informative for you. And guys, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. This really helps us. Thank you for watching. Bye.